Will the survivability of tactical and long-range bomber aircraft...
Oh, that's a big one, dude.
Will we get an artillery sight for fire on SPGs?
Nope, that's not planned. All the realistic methods are already there, so you can absolutely use those.
Are there any mechanics
Just wait. Well, you actually have it, so you can use it. We only have one more update. Oh, this is a big one. Uh-oh. I want to hear what he has to say.
Will the basement guide ever be released?
I asked you not to include this question. Why is it here?
All right, let's take a look-see at what we have today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to see what they tell us and what they're possibly going to give us.
Will anti-radar
Jeez,
missiles be
welcome
added?
back.
Yes, the game is getting more and more large SAM systems, which are exactly the kind of targets those missiles are designed for. So our plan is as follows. If we add them, we'll refine the interface in such a way so that when you use such a missile, you'll roughly see where the enemy's SAM is located. So yes, we plan to introduce them, I think, most likely in the first half.
I can appreciate that voice crack. But here's the thing. Not even a year ago, they had a dev Q&A and said that they don't have any intentions of adding anti-radar missiles, hard missiles, because, you know, they're meant for like bigger platforms like S-300, S-400, Patriot systems and everything. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, we kind of take that back.
Will the survivability of tactical and long-range bomber aircraft
Oh, that's a
improve?
big one,
Yes,
dude.
we're not fully satisfied with how these aircraft are currently set up. Way too fragile, and that makes those planes that are already quite challenging
Yeah.
even less competitive when facing fighters of their respective battles.
Yeah.
Will we get an artillery sight for
Oh.
indirect fire on SPGs?
Nope, that's not planned. You have to understand, such a sight would look extremely unrealistic, and it wouldn't really fit a game like War Thunder. For most artillery vehicles available in-game, the minimum firing range can actually exceed the size of War Thunder's maps, so that kind of sight just wouldn't help you at all. That said, the game already includes pretty realistic ways to perform indirect fire. If the
Okay, so really quick, here's the thing, is why add them? I mean, don't get me wrong, I like artillery vehicles because they're memes, but they are terribly impractical in my opinion. They're inefficient. Like you're not gonna go into an urban setting and dogfight with an MBT, an Abrams, a Leopard, or a T-90, T-80 with a damn Panzer H-2000. It makes zero sense to me. Imagine if we did have indirect artillery, it's gonna take like what, 30, 40 seconds, and then they're gonna be moved anyways. So what does it matter, I guess?
trajectory actually allows it. You can do artillery spotting using a drone, artillery spotting through another vehicle or an aircraft. You can also set the range manually using the azimuth scale. All the realistic methods are already there, so you can absolutely use those.
Are there any mechanics
Just wait. Am I the only one who got like a very like, well, you actually have it, so you can use it. You know, just kind of start the head shaking. I have to do it too. I got some sassy like vibe off that guy. I'm sorry, I had to point that out.
When will smoke artillery be added?
That's a good question.
We're not planning to add a separate smoke artillery feature. On the one hand, there's no need for it. On the other hand, that kind of artillery could easily become a toxic mechanic and not just a helpful tool. It might end up blocking visibility and interfering with teammates rather than helping them. We've actually tested smoke artillery in special events. Simply became a tool for griefing opponents and making gameplay worse for everyone. So we're not planning to introduce standalone smoke artillery anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Will White Rock Fortress return
Oh
to the game?
no.
This map is currently in active development. There's a good chance we'll bring it back in its updated form before the end of the year.
Remember when you said you won't add top tier
We only have one more update. Oh, this is a big one. Uh-oh. I want to hear what he has to say.
premiums? What happened to that?
We already gave a detailed answer to this back in the summer of 2023. Even though the game now includes premium vehicles of the highest rank, we still don't plan to add top-tier premiums that would be exceptionally effective or strong, better than their peers, in terms of flight characteristics, armament, and so on. The idea is that unlocking top-tier vehicles through the regular tech tree should still offer something new and give you an advantage or capability that even the best premium vehicles don't have. That's why we have no plans to introduce premium vehicles with top-level combat performance.
I respect it, but I feel like it's a little disingenuous. just a teeny tiny bit, because it's like you already have the clickbait with similar firepower and capabilities to that of the American tech tree version, which in fact in some cases even it's superior to it. You have vehicles like the 2A4M, which I guess is kind of like the good answer to that, because the 2A7 is always going to be superior, but then you have the T80 UE1, which I guess is a good example. So I guess I get where they're coming from. So it's not top tier, but it's top level performance and firepower, which I can agree with. Fuji, yeah, I guess I understand where he comes from, but still being 0.3 BR off the top end game vehicle is kind of, a little disingenuous, but maybe I'm not looking at it in the grand scheme. Top tier, Abrams versus clickbait, fatter, heavier, better thermals, clickbait, faster and lighter. Yeah, but its armor is a little bit weaker compared to the tech tree variant, but even then it's like it's so negligible at that point, it doesn't really matter. But really, to each their own, I guess.
RB enduring confrontation tests were beloved by the community. Can we expect to see Air RBEC in the future?
It was fun.
We're not planning to replace the current Air RB with an RB version of Enduring Confrontation, or somehow mix EC into the regular random battles. We've already tried adding EC-style missions to Air RB as a separate event, but they didn't gain much popularity among players. We completely understand that some players are interested in trying something fresh, something new, and we are already working on that something, a new mode in fact. It's called Aerial Warfare.
How is work on the World War mode progressing? When can we expect it to
Here we go.
The World War mode is in continuous, steady, though not very fast development. We share news and updates when we can, and return to work on it from time to time. We're planning to test more modes in the same way, as limited time event missions, so we can collect your feedback, make adjustments, and fix bugs. Once that process is complete, we'll start integrating those missions into a separate, full-fledged mode with operations and a global map. That's when World War, as its own game mode, will officially make its real debut.
I can agree with, to be honest, because let's be honest here. World War mode was a joke. I'm going to say it as it is. It was a joke. I was part of the last one where it was just a bunch of creators together, and we stomped the living hell out of the entire community. It was to the point where no one would challenge us anymore at all. Like, Copsy's leading it, which he was at the time. No one's going to be playing it anymore. It's like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I'll be real with you guys. I don't mind that they don't ever introduce World War mode, because I feel like our game just isn't for it. I love the concept. I love the idea, but our game just is not for it. And I think the last 2 or 3 World War modes kind of proved that a little bit. But no, that was bad.
Can we expect a tighter battle rating spread of 0.7?
What's a good one?
Combat strength isn't the only factor that affects gameplay. Variety matters too. If we narrow the BR spread, yes, the vehicles you encounter will be closely matched in terms of their combat capabilities, but the overall diversity of vehicles you encounter will shrink as well. On top of that, you have to understand the fact that narrowing the spread could significantly increase matchmaking times. Even
there it
though
is.
Thunder has a large player base, especially during peak hours, once you start factoring in things like server region, specific BR ranges, particular nations, or squadrons of several players, all of that together can already result in noticeable queue times. So the answer is no. We don't plan to change the current BR spread. Instead, we'll continue raising the upper BR limit.
That I get where he's coming from, dude. I understand it. It's just the typical response that we've gotten every single time we've asked that question. And I guess I understand it, but it's just like, come on, really? Just, oh, you're afraid of extra queue time and everything, which I fully respect and understand that, because no one likes to sit waiting for minutes at a time to get into a single game just to maybe even J out and be like, oh, I hate this map, get out, right? But damn. So I guess that kind of answers that. We're never going to be getting a 0.7 spread rather than 1. So I get where he's coming from.
Any news on the development of Submarine?
Yes, please.
We're continuing to work on submarines, but implementing such a complicated and controversial type of vehicle takes a lot of time. The biggest challenge is figuring out how to properly integrate submarines. We're very grateful to the community and to all submarine enthusiasts for their patience, and we'll do our best to make sure that the final result meets your expectations.
Wait a minute, wait. What? All the players? You mean all like 30 people that play Naval? Because it's like, bro, if I want to play top around 7-0 or like 8-3 or something, I gotta wait on average more than 5 minutes for an RB or even an arcade battle. So if you want to play the big old BBs, the Yamato, the Kronstadt, you know, you're going to be sitting in queue for a long damn time. It's all like, oh no, my precious submarines. It's almost as if bring destroyers that are able to counter it, submarine chasers. It would make such a unique gameplay that, and hell, even bringing helicopters that can do this kind of stuff, right? Just saying, it would be fun as hell. Like, oh crap, there's a helicopter. Dive, guys, we got to move. You know, minimal power. That'd be a lot of fun, but I get where he's coming from. I'm just sad because I'm looking forward to submarines too.
When will we finally get the ability to ban more than one map?
Yes, I need this.
No, because even right now,
when are we getting the ability to ban more maps? No, that was a Kratos moment. That was like, I'm gonna stand up. No. I can appreciate that. I'm a little bummed by it, but so let's go back and watch that. Just
When will we finally get the ability to ban more than one map?
no.
That's all you have to say. That is just no.
Because
That's great.
even right now, players already have the potential to ban up to 32 maps in the worst case scenario. That's 16 versus 16 players, each banning one map, which removes 32 maps from the pool. And since not all maps are available at every battle rating, this can already exclude more than half the maps we have in certain modes. So even the current ban system already noticeably reduces the variety of locations players see, even if they personally ban just one map. Because of that,
Hey,
I don't think increasing the number of bans would be beneficial.
Hey, Breadstick, you in here, buddy?
Instead, we're focusing on a variety of measures that prevent players from being placed on the same map several times in a row. Why does that happen? Because the map selection process is utterly random. Even with a well-shuffled map list that avoids immediate repeats, as it works now, there's no guarantee that you won't end up on the same map twice or more in a row.
I respectfully disagree with that. I absolutely disagree with that statement because I think there are certain days where we get the same map back to back over and over. And it's like, I'm only playing the same 4 maps for a 3-4 hour stream. And it's all like, are you shitting me here? Like, I get where he's coming from. Maybe it's just my bad luck. I'm pretty sure it's exactly like that, but it just, I respectfully disagree with that.
Is there something planned to improve the player experience of the helicopter PvE game mode?
PvP battles involving helicopters are a very niche experience, something that appeals to a rather small and specific audience. That was clear from the limited popularity of the helicopter PvP mode, so we currently don't have any plans to bring it back in.
I just want to point something out really quick. That feels a little disingenuous because, and I know I keep saying that word over and over, there was like such a small player base is because everyone and their grandmother was bringing out at the very start Eagle missiles. You had an Mi-35 with up to 8 Eagle missiles that had like infinite range. You could not flare them or anything because there was no mall at the time. And even then manually wouldn't work. And they would just sit above everything and just throw missiles at you and then go rearm and get another free 8 kills, right? And then when the KA-50 first came into the game, Vickers missiles deleted the game mode. If you didn't have a K-50 on your team countering them, you were boned. That is the complete story to it. So it's all like, oh, it appealed to a small player base. Well, that's because the player base knew exactly what was going to happen if you got into this. I went through that. And trust me, it was annoying as all hell to the point where like, you know what? I'm just going to Golden Eagle this. And I did. Not much of it, but many of it.
Players leaving after one death in high-tier mixed battles makes this part of the game regularly unenjoyable. Do you have any potential solutions in mind?
Yes, we completely agree that when a large portion of one team leaves after their first deaths, it obviously makes the battle less enjoyable and less fair for everyone else, both your allies and your opponents. But we also understand that players who leave can have legitimate reasons to do that in real life. That's why we're not really eager to introduce some sort of penalty that would force players to stay. Instead, we want to support those who do want to stay, to keep playing but currently can't respawn. For example, because they simply don't have more vehicles available. Maybe they're on a new premium or squadron vehicle, just unlocked a new tier, have only one vehicle for it, and that's it. To help such players, and as a way to solve this problem, at least partially, we've already implemented a system where every premium vehicle comes with a bundle of backups by default. We also announced our plans to implement free daily backups in the latest community update. On top of that, we're exploring other ways to solve the issue. For instance, by adding a random vehicle slot in ground battles, similar to how it works for aircraft in naval battles. That way, players without a suitable vehicle for their current battle rating could still respawn using this special additional slot, where a random vehicle would be provided for them. This would let even single vehicle players respawn more than once, especially when combined with the backup mechanic.
I can respect that answer, and there are some disagreements. I see Akula also disagreeing with that too, because that's the fastest way to grind. You're right. But it's more like this. They're doing more to reward those who stick around a lot longer, but they're not doing enough to punish those who deliberately do it. So, like, you're right here. I see right here. Just if a player leaves multiple times in an hour or two, then yeah, like start introducing a penalty. Maybe increase the crew lock a little bit. Be like, hey, listen, you're leaving after so many games. You know, take a 20, 30-minute cooldown crew lock on that nation or something, and then just go touch some grass. You know, just go drink some milk. I don't know. Your XP if you leave instantly. I agree, but at the same time, it's like, again, players might have legitimate reasons. My package came at the door, you know. My Uber Eats is here. Like, you know, my wife or my girlfriend's calling me somewhere, right? Which you don't ever like say no, you know, I guess. So I get where he's coming from, and I respect that you're trying to reward players to stick around a little much more, and you're giving them the tools to stay longer, but it's like you can do a little bit more to punish those who do it consistently, you know, but there's no winning answer to this. There really isn't.
PvP game, it's frustrating to be killed by something you can't counter, new FNF missiles. Is this something you consider when adding powerful weaponry?
Yes, we do. However, in any kind of asymmetrical gameplay,
but
situations like this are the natural result of that very asymmetry. For example, a piston-engine aircraft with the bomb engaging a tank without an anti-aircraft gun is an encounter even less fair. In fact, in the game, target-seeking missiles launched from aircraft or helicopters can be very easy to evade, simply by hiding behind cover or deploying smoke. Those same missiles can also be intercepted and destroyed by friendly SBAA or SAM units. Compare that to a simple, unguided bomb dropped from low altitude directly onto a tank, something that constantly happens at mid-ranks. It's often much harder to avoid. That's why the more diverse the lineup in a battle, the greater the variety of vehicles and differences between your vehicle and the ones you run into, the more interesting and varied the encounters themselves can be. Unfortunately, that also means that some of those situations will inevitably feel unfair to one side.
I agree with this statement. I do. It's just I'm thinking immediately that let's be honest. Spike missiles from you know, the SALs and the IR missiles from the Apaches, etc. They're garbage. Like they require you to throw 2-3 missiles per vehicle in order to guarantee a kill, and even then you're not really guaranteed, if that makes sense. So it's like it's called a cheater. Enemy rage quits, right? So I get where he's coming from. The exception to that rule a little bit is the lemur missile, which is, I would say, like 95% of the time a one-hit wonder. So it's like, but then again, you get 8 of them. But I would rather 8 or 7 guaranteed kills versus like 3 with 16 on the Apache, right? So
Battle rating changes often cause vehicles that are played by less players to have artificially higher stats. Do you keep this in mind when making VR changes?
If changes to battle ratings were made purely based on server statistics, without any human involvement, that would of course be very convenient. We wouldn't have to spend hundreds of man-hours preparing each update to battle ratings, and we usually do that around 5 times a year. Right now, when adjusting BRs, our game designers start with the statistical data for each vehicle, but they also take into account their own understanding of its strengths and weaknesses. Then we discuss those results as a team. The final step is to compile all of that and try to find a compromise, a balanced collective decision of some sort. After that, we collect player feedback on the implemented changes, and once we have it, the whole process starts again. From the outside, it might sometimes look like certain vehicles receive unfair or insufficient attention. That impression can arise because different groups of players tend to show bias towards particular vehicles, classes of vehicles, nations, etc. Something that becomes quite noticeable when analyzing feedback gathered from various platforms. And let's not forget, the game already features...
I just want to point out really quick, when you're talking about unbalancing, the Falcon can easily do that to a T10. And it's like, oh, that's kind of garbage. Okay, I just want to point that out, okay?
Almost 3,000 different vehicles. it's entirely possible that something slips through the cracks. That's why we always encourage you to take part in the discussion of BR changes, share your thoughts, agree or disagree with other members of the community. We make every effort to listen carefully to your feedback and take it into account.
Finally, get proper big maps for MBTs, or even finally a tank RBSB EC mode.
The game already features ground maps of all kinds of sizes, from 1 by 1 kilometer or a bit larger all the way up to 4 by 4. All of them are equally present in the map rotation pool for high-level tank battles. However, it's important to understand that because players can use the map filter system to exclude locations they don't enjoy, the effective map pool, as I mentioned earlier, can become noticeably smaller. But that's not because of any sort of developer-run dictatorship. We don't have much say here. It's the result of what is effectively honest, democratic voting by the players involved in this game mode. As things stand now, the reality of tank battles at high levels is that most players prefer smaller maps and faster-paced matches, ones that relatively often end with one team being pushed back to its spawn simply because the distances between them are so short. Adding extra spawn zones to such maps isn't really feasible. There's simply not enough space. And even if we somehow did that, those new spawns would quickly fall under the control of the dominant team anyway, given how short the engagement distances are.
Will the basement guy?
Okay, then we'll get to that in a second. Yikes. That's all I gotta kind of say. I just being real with you guys, just yikes. But we'll continue.
Ever be released?
I asked you not to include this question. Why is it here?
Bro, did you see like the confusion on his face? Like, hold on. There's oh shit! Look at those, dude. His eyes just completely just a complete 360. They just went all the way. Holy shit, bro! That is the face of a man who is over your guys' shit. All right, his kids have grown to college age. They are off to school. He finally has his office to himself, and then someone walks into his room and says, "Did you mow the front lawn?" And then he just turns around, and that's the face you see.
I asked you not to include this question. Why is it here?
Damn, perfect. Beautiful way to end it, right? Someone's getting fired. Oh, God. Okay. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Q&A. I like these. You know, as much as some players, and including those here in the chat, and I'm sure in the comment section too, are going to be like, why is this like that? Or why is this and that? You know, we all experience this game very differently. I'm not trying to be like above anyone. Like, I have 12,000 hours in this game, you know? Like, no, it's not like that. It's just, you know, I have fun in the high tier environment, and I can speak for that, but anything below that is like I can't really have a thoughtful opinion on it, I guess, or a valid one at that. So I don't know if you guys have any, you know, concerns on it. Go share to my Discord comments. We'll talk more as we play. Cool. So let's get back to the grind.